Assalamu alaikum. My greetings to all the viewers. I hope you all are doing well. I am Ashna Siddiqui and we all are here to learn about the topic burn. So let's begin. What is burn? A burn is a coagulative destruction of the surface layers of the body. It occurs when some or all the cells in the skin or other tissues are destroyed by heat, cold, electricity, radiation, lightning, and caustic chemicals. Before moving towards the burn, we have a little knowledge about skin anatomy. It's necessary. So the skin is made up of three layers. The epidermis is the outermost layer of skin, which provides a waterproof barrier and creates our skin tone. Second, the dermis, beneath the epidermis, contains tough connective tissue, hair follicles, and sweat glands. The third layer is hypodermis. The deeper subcutaneous tissue is made up of fat and connective tissues. Now we move towards the classification of burn. So, burn are classified on many types. The first type is classification on the basis of cause. Because of the causative agent, the first is thermal burn. Thermal burn is caused because of the contact with hot cooking object or liquids, scald, steam, fire burns. Second one is chemical burn due to exposure of skin to the strong acid or alkali. The rinsing area is very important to limit the exposure. Third is electrical burn, which in which low voltage current, path of least resistance, injury to blood vessels and nerves may occur. In the high voltage current, direct path injuries, everything in its path including bone may become damaged. And the fourth one is radiation burn caused by the radiations. Second classification is based on the severity. So on the basis of severity, there is minor burn, moderate burn, and major burn. Third classification of burn is based on the depth. As you can see in the picture, first layer is epidermis, then dermis, then subcutaneous tissue, and then muscle. So in the first degree burn, the epidermis is got damaged. In second degree burn, the dermis got damaged. In third degree burn, the subcutaneous fat and tissue may become damaged, and in fourth degree burn, the muscle and bone got damaged. Now we move towards the pathophysiology of burn. So in pathophysiology of burn, the burn patient more than injured more than 30%. The because of burn injury, there is cell lysis caused hemolysis, and this thermoregulation got disturbed, that leads to hemomyoglobinuria, and that cause acute tubular necrosis, that leads to our renal failure. Okay, and in second pathophysiology we can see that because of burn injury there is increased capillary permeability, so the sodium, water, protein and electrolytes shifts extravascularly, so intravascular volume will increase, and that leads to burn shock. In the third pathophysiology, because of the burn injury, loss of skin barrier may occur, that leads to inflammatory process, and because of that vasodilation occur, hypothermia occur, and then due to this vasodilation hypotension may occur, and that leads the patient to be in burn shock. This is the pathophysiology of burn. Now we will discuss about the prevalence and frequency distribution of burn patient. So the frequency distribution according to the degree of burn in the world. So because of the first degree burn, 23% of patient may suffer, and because of second degree burn, 72% of patient may suffer. Third degree burn leads to 3% patient suffered from third degree burn, and 2% patient suffered from fourth degree burn. So most of the patient in the world are affects from second degree burn. This is the frequency distribution. Now we will move towards the clinical manifestation of burn patient. Okay, so in the first degree burn we will see the clinical features like the patient will suffer from reddened skin. He may feel pain in the burn site. Involves only epidermis layer of the skin. It feels bland to touch. Have an intact epidermal barrier. Do not result in scarring. Example of injuries are sunburn, minor scald from a kitchen accident. The clinical features which we can see in the superficial second degree burn are the patient is suffering from intense pain. The skin become white to red. Blisters may seen like you can see in the picture above. Involves epidermis and papillary layer of dermis. Spears hair follicles, sweat glands, etc. Erythematous and blanched to touch. Very painful and sensitive injury may occur. No or minimum scarring. Spontaneously reepithelialization from retained epidermal structure in 7 to 14 days may occur. Now the clinical features in third degree burn, we can see dry leathery skin, white, dark brown or charred. Very tough skin may occur. There is loss of sensation. The patient feel very little pain because the pain nerves may got damaged. All dermal layers tissues may involved in the third degree burn injury. In the fourth degree burn injury, that injury involves the structures beneath the skin layers, that is the muscle and bone. So look at this picture. First diagram shows the first degree burn in which the epidermis layer got affected and there is only redness but there is no blisters. In the second degree burn, the epidermis and dermis both layer got affected and blisters may occur and this injury is very painful. And in third picture that shows third degree burn. In this the injury affects all the layer and this injury is also very painful. Now in 4th degree burn, injury is deeper and it moves towards the muscle, tendons and affects our bone also. Now in the aspect of physical, social and psychological way, what changes may a patient feel after the burn injury? In the physical way, he feels itching, limited endurance, decreased function. Socially, roles might be changed. Returning to work may become difficult for the burn patient. The body image may got changed and the person may affects from sexual issues. Third, in a psychological aspects, the burn patient may affects from anxiety and depression after the burn injury. Now assessment of total body surface area. Assessing the burn patient by the help of some rules that are designed. The rules are Wallace rule of 9, Lund and Browder method and Palm method. So first one is Wallace rule of 9. In Wallace rule of 9 uh, they determine the head is of 9% both anteriorly and posteriorly. The chest front side is of 18% and back side is of 18%. As you can see in this picture, the arms are 9% and the groin area is of 1% and the legs are of 18%, 9% each side. By this rule of 9 method, we can count how many percent a burn patient is injured. Second method is Lund and Browder method. So in Lund and Browder method, the more precise method of estimating the extent of burn is the Lund and Browder method, which recognize that the percentage of the surface area of various anatomical parts, especially the head and legs, changes with growth. According to Lund and Browder method, the head is differentiate in 3.5. The neck is of 1%, the chest is of chest and back is of 13%, the groin is of 1%, the arm up to the elbow is of 2%, and elbow up to the wrist 1.5%, and the palm is of 1.5%. Thigh up to the knee is of 4.5%, and then lower limb is like 3.5%, and feet is like 1.5%. So this is Llewellyn Browder method. Now third method is palm method. In the patient with scattered burn, the palm method may be used to estimate the extent of burns. The size of patient palm is approximately 1% of the total body surface area. So as you can see, the palm of area of the palm is 1% of body surface area. So now we will study about the management of burn. The first aid management for burn cases is very important to know. So what we have to know here is immediately cool the affected area with cool or running water for at least 10 minutes for all the burn cases except the electricity burn case. Okay. Now second point is immerse the site in cold water to reduce pain and edema and to minimize the tissue damage. The third point here we have to note is that water temperature is not less than 8 degrees Celsius. Do not ice because it may further damage the injured skin. And if the burn area is large, so after it has been doused with cool water, apply clean wraps around the burned area or the whole patient to prevent systemic heat loss and hypothermia. These are first aid for burns. We can remember the first aid by 3C, alphabet C. First C is cool with running water, the second C is cover the burn, and the third C is call the emergency assistant. Now after the first aid, the burn management is divided into three phases. There are three phases of burn management which we can remember by ear, our body organ ear. So EAR. E is for emergent phase, A is for acute phase, and R is for rehabilitative phase. In the emergent phase is also known as immediate phase. Onset of the burn injury to restoration of the capillary permeability, it lasts for 24 to 48 hours. Risk is here for hypovolemic shock, respiratory distress, and compartment syndrome. Second is acute or intermediate phase. Okay, so capillary permeability is stabilized, diuresis, wound closure starts at 48 to 72 hours until wound heals. The focus we have to put here is in the prevention of infection, alleviating pain, ensuring proper nutrition and wound care. The third and last phase is rehabilitative phase. Burn patient is in healing phase here, and his body starts to function again in the both mental and physical aspects. Okay, so these are three phases of burn management. Now we will discuss first phase in detail, that is emergent or immediate phase. The emergent period of the burn management refers to the first 24 to 48 hours of post burn. During this period of burn injury, the patient care is provided in a highly manner between nursing and medicine care. These area includes first is airway management, second hyperbaric oxygen therapy, third is fluid replacement, and fourth one is analgesia and sedation. So first we have learned that is airway management. So the airway of burn patient swells very rapidly because of inhalation of smoke, or the area is very delicate. So we have to incubate the patient as early as possible before the airway swelling. Second one is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So what is hyperbaric oxygen therapy? It is a medical treatment in which enhance the body's natural healing process by inhalation of 100% of oxygen in the total body chamber where the atmospheric pressure is increased and controlled. The patient is shifted to a chamber where he is provided the total 100% of oxygen, so that that leads to the soon wound healing process. Third, we will learn about the fluid management in burns. So the goal of this fluid management in burn is to prevent hypovolemia, tissue perfusion and burn shock. The IV volume must be retained to provide sufficient circulation not only to the organ but also to the skin and damaged tissue. So replacing the body fluids, by which things we replace our body fluids, that are three types of fluids that considered in the replacement of our body fluids. First one is colloid, including plasma expander such as dextran. Second one is electrolyte such as Ringer lactate, and third one is non-electrolyte such as distilled water with 5% of glucose. So there are some formulas which help us in determining how much amount of fluid is given to a burn patient. So first one is consensus formula. Here we take Ringer lactate solution or other saline solution 2 to 4 ml and we multiply it by the weight of the patient's body in kg, and we multiply that with percentage of total body surface area burned. The solution that is prepared is given half in the first 8 hours and remaining half is given in next 16 hours. The second formula is here is Parkland formula. In the Parkland formula, the volume of Ringer lactate solution we take is 4 ml, that multiplied by the percent of body surface area that is burned and by weight of the patient in kg. The third formula is Brooke-Army formula. Here in crystalloid case we take 1.5 ml, we multiply it by patient's weight and body surface area. In the case of colloid, we take 0.5 ml of colloid, multiply it by patient body weight and total burn surface area, and this is also half given in first 8 hours and the next half is given in next remaining 16 hours in a day. For example, if we see if a burn patient, let's imagine, is of 70 kg and he is 60% burned. So according to the Parkland formula, we use Ringer lactate or Ali saline solution 4 ml into the weight of patient, that is 70 kg into 60% burned. So the amount is here 16,800 ml Ringer lactate that we have to given in 24 hours, and simply that will apply in Brooke formula. So 1.5 into 70 kg patient weight into 60% patient burn, that give us 6,300 ml. So this solution we will give in half, first half in 8 hours and remaining half in 16 hours. Now next important thing is hypertonic saline solution. The hypertonic saline solution is highly concentrated solution of NaCl, sodium chloride and lactate, which we give to the patient for maintain desired volume of urinary output and maintenance of sodium level in the burn patient. Now in the management of burn, the medical management plays an important role, as we give analgesia and sedation to patient. Severely burned patient may be restless from pain, suffers from severe pain. So a number of different options are there for pain management like ibuprofen, acetaminophen, diclofenac and all. So these includes, and for analgesia and sedation, mostly propofol is used for the sedative purpose, that makes the patient get relief from pain. And next we will give tetanus prophylaxis. So tetanus prophylaxis is important to prevent the burn patient from any further disease. Now the first phase is over. Now we move towards the second phase, that is acute phase or intermediate phase. In this intermediate phase of treatment, this begins at the end of immediate phase and lasts until the burn wound is healed. So this phase includes First one is infection prevention, second is topical antimicrobials, and third one is wound care. So moving towards the first point, that is prevention of infection. So what we have to do for the prevention of infection? So we should use cap, gown, mask and gloves for the patient with open burn wounds. Second is aseptic technique is used when caring directly for burn wounds. Gowns and gloves are worn by all the caregivers and visitors. Hand hygiene is used before and after leaving the patient's room. Special instruction is given to all the visitors with the goal of preventing the spread of infection because of the immunosuppression of burn patient. After the prevention of infection, the most important thing in this second phase is dressing. So dressing of burn patient is in three types: opened and exposure method, closed or occlusive method, and third is blend dressing. So the open and exposure method is used when wound is cleaned by antiseptic agent and the wound is left exposed into the air. This is used mainly for the burn of the face and burns of large surface area. Okay, and this second one here is occlusive and closed technique method. So here a thick dressing after cleaning the wound with antiseptic covers the burn wound with thick dressing. Okay, this used mostly for outpatient treatment of small burns. Third point is blend dressing. So what is blend dressing? This blend dressing provides a clean, moist wound healing environment, absorb exudate, protect from contamination and provide comfort. Paraffin gauze is used and can be manufactured locally, that is by honey and ghee etc. This gauze sheet can be applied directly to the wound in a single layer and covered with plain dry gauze to absorb exudates, then wrapped. Dressing also be changed at least every second day or when soiled. So that are dressings, and now we will learn about the biological dressing. Why we need the biological dressing? Because all the synthetic dressing and the topical antimicrobial agents that we used may affect our wound healing process and that may alter our metabolic rate and daily maintenance. So the biological dressing have no direct toxins or antimicrobial properties. So what this biological dressing includes, that is skin graft and skin substitutes. So what is a skin graft now? So a skin graft is a sheet of skin, that is epidermis or varying amount of dermis, that is detached from its own blood supply and placed in a new area of the body. This provides permanent skin replacement which is supple, sensate and durable. The function of this skin graft is that it provides a biological cover to the burn patient, it helps to maintain thermoregulation, and most important, it gives identity and beauty to the burn patient. Coding tip here noted is this skin graft are of three types. First is autograft, means using patient's own skin. Second one is allograft, means using the skin obtained from another person, means a donor. Third one is xenograft, means free skin grafts obtained from a non-human source, that is usually a pig or any animal. Now we will move towards the surgical management for the burn patient. In the surgical management there are phases. So in first phase we have to assess the patient, then we have to do dressing to prevent from further damage. Third one is debridement process, fourth one is wound closure, and third one is rehabilitation. Okay, so in the debridement process there is two process made, excision and sterotomy. So what is debridement? Debridement means to remove the excess dirt and dead tissues from a wound to secure it for better healing and soon recovery. So now we will learn something about the sterotomy. What is sterotomy? So sterotomy is a surgical procedure used to treat full thickness third degree circumferential burn. Stereotomy we will perform mostly in the third degree full thickness third degree circumferential burn that leads to vascular compromise. So, if before studying about this stereotomy, we have to learn about this STAR. So, this what is STAR? So, the STAR is tough, leathery, dead tissue that remaining after a full thickness third degree burn. Okay, so this STAR leads to inelasticity, means because of this STAR, the blood supply and the oxygen supply to the part of a body that is burned cause inelasticity that leads to compartment syndrome. Now, what is compartment syndrome? Compartment syndrome means there is increase in pressure within a body's particular anatomical compartment that leads to insufficient blood supply to that particular area. So, there will be increase in pressure because the blood supply is not proper at that area. So, the compartment syndrome can leads to increase in pressure. When the pressure is increased above 40 millimeter per mercury, so we have to perform what stereotomy to decrease the pressure and to provide a proper blood supply. This stereotomy is done by plastic surgeon or a surgeon in the burn unit. So, what are the indications given by a patient that indicates that there is a need of stereotomy? First is pain or passive extension. The second is pallor. Third is paresthesia, means the patient is suffered from tingling sensation. Fourth one is pyochilothermia, means the patient's ability to control the temperature of his body is disturbed. Fifth one is paresis, means the patient suffer from muscular weakness, partial paralysis, and sixth is pulselessness. So, these are the indications which are given by the burn patient that leads to stereotomy. This is how stereotomy is performed. The surgeon incised the area up to the layer of subcutaneous fat tissue, so that because of this incision the pressure got divided and the compartment syndrome will decrease and the blood supply will increase in the burn area. In this diagram you can see the line of incision which is mostly used for this incision in this stereotomy. Now, after this stereotomy, there is next surgery which is known as fasciotomy. In the fasciotomy, it's a surgical process where the fascia is cut to relieve tension or pressure, commonly used to treat the result loss of circulation to an area or tissue or muscles. Done in the patient with electrical burn. Fasciotomy is mostly done with the patient who have got burned with electricity, and fascia is a band or sheet of connective tissue beneath the skin that separates our muscle with other organs. So, we have to remove fascia here to decrease the pressure and to provide proper blood supply. Now, the third surgery is reconstructive surgery. In the reconstructive surgery, the goal is to improve both the function and the cosmetic appearance of burn scar. As you can see in the image, because of the reconstructive surgery, the contractures that are made in the patient's face and neck are reduces, and the patient got a satisfied face after a burn injury. Now, the second phase is end. Now, we move towards the third phase, that is rehabilitation period or long term phase. There are 4 principles for the rehabilitation of burn patient. First one is the program should be start early, preferably the day of injury. A program of care should avoid prolonged periods of immobility, and any part that is able to move freely should be moved frequently. Third, the range of motion exercise should be started at the day of injury. Fourth one, there should be a planned program of daily activity and rehabilitative care. So in this way the rehabilitative phase is completed. Now the nursing management of burn patient. It is important management for the all nursing professionals. First thing we have to do in nursing management is nursing assessment. So here first thing is primary assessment. In the primary assessment we assess for airway assessment. Airway assessment include visualization the upper airway to look for obstruction, edema or evidence of burn. Second is vital sign management. Monitor the vital signs and the color of the skin can help to assess patient's circulatory and cardiac status. Third is neurological assessment that determine if the patient is alert responsive to verbal and pain stimuli or unconscious. Skin exposure and transport. Now second is secondary assessment. In the secondary assessment we can take complete history, head to toe physical examination, calculation of the percentage of total body surface area that is affected, then lab test and then pain and anxiety assessment. Now the important thing is nursing care plan. So the first nursing diagnosis here is disturbed body image related to traumatic event as per evidence by looking at the change of body part. Interventions a nurse should done here is accept the expression of feelings of frustration from the patient, set limit or maladaptive behaviors and be realistic and positive during the treatment. Second diagnosis is impaired physical mobility related to decreased strength as evidenced by inability to move. Here interventions to be done is maintain proper body alignment and perform range of motion exercises to the patient. The third nursing diagnosis here is imbalanced nutrition less than body requirement related to poor intake of food as per evidence by weight loss. Interventions taken here is to provide good oral hygiene, determine the time of the day when the patient appetite is in peak, offer liquid energy supplement to the patient. Last diagnosis here is risk for infection related to loss of skin barrier. So we have to do here is examine the wound daily, monitor vital sign for fever, administration of medicine as prescribed by the physician. Now the health education. What health education we have to give to the patient and the visitors is wash your wound as directed, prevent injury to new skin, watch the sign of infections, eat a well balanced diet, be careful in the sun, don't drive, take medicine properly on time, exercise and stretching should be done, coping with the injury is important. Now the nutritional consideration. Nutritional consideration is play a major component for the recovery of burn patient. First thing is here calorie. So the burn patient are in need of high amount of calories and protein for the better wound healing of injuries and restoration of body weight. Second thing is carbohydrate. The carbohydrate will provide a bulk of calories for the burn patient and the burn wound require glucose mostly from the carbohydrates for the better wound healing. Third is protein. There is a need of provide enough protein to prevent the breakdown of muscle and protein helps in soon wound healing of patient. Fat is also essential in diet for the burn patient to provide essential fatty acids and additional calories. Fifth point is fluid. 30 to 50 ml per hour fluid is given to the patient depending upon the urine output. Sixth one is micronutrients. Micronutrients such as vitamin A, C and E, copper, zinc and selenium confers health benefits to burn patient. Now eternal nutrition support we have to give if the patient is not able to eat from his mouth. So eternal nutrition or tube feeding with high protein, high carbohydrate diet is recommended for a burn patient. So now after the nutrition management we can move towards the complication of burn. So what are the complications a burn patient can face? First is burn shock. Second one is pulmonary complication due to inhalation injury. Third is acute renal failure. Fourth is infection and sepsis. Fifth, curling ulcer in large bone over 30%, usually after 9th day. Extensive and disabling scarring. Psychological trauma. Cancer called Marjolin's ulcer may take 21 years to develop. These all are complications of burn that a burn patient can face. Now end up of this session. Last is summary. So what we have learned in this class. So burn is a type of injury to the skin or other tissue caused by heat, cold, electricity, chemical, sunburn, radiation and etc. Scald from hot liquid and steam, building fires and gases are one of the most common cause of burn. While similar rates are for male and female both, the cause often different. Among women, the risk is due to open cooking fire, unsafe cook stoves, and among the risk is due to work environment. Burn can also occur as a result of self harm, means suicide case or violence between people. In this whole class, we learn about the type, classification, and the management of burn. Hope you will understand this, and I hope that my class helps you. Thank you.